Have you given up on a dream? Have your dreams changed over time? What has stopped you from realizing a dream or from pursuing a dream? Do you still have dreams, or did you give up on those a long time ago? Welcome to Be a Better Person, a channel to try to make you not feel alone, to help you become a better person. And by you becoming a better person, you make others become better people. We kind of just look at some different habits, some different ideas. Remember, my beliefs, ideas, thoughts are all mine. What works for me might not work for you. I have not mastered any of the things or topics that I talk about. I work on them daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. I try to get better every single day. So anyways, today's topic that I'd like to discuss, so that we can hopefully discuss and you can comment on, is follow your dreams. So usually when you have a dream, it's something you're passionate about, something that you're willing to put in as much hard work as it takes to accomplish. But many times it's an idea you have in your head of something that you're passionate about, yet you spend zero time working on to achieve that dream. Hopefully you put in efforts to try and follow dreams. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm too old to follow that dream. No, you're never too old. Never too old to follow a dream. Don't ever give up on a dream. Maybe modify it. Or if you're just not passionate about it again, maybe you change your dream. But you should always have dreams. I think having dreams and goals and things that you want to accomplish, places that you hope that you can be in your life, are all things that keep us motivated. And if you lose those, you become a giant slug that just finds no joy in life anymore. And you just become a little robot-y lemming that follows things around and goes, this is what I must do. If you have things that you're passionate about and you have dreams that you want to follow, I think it makes you more alive, and I think that it puts you more in the moment. And again, these are all things that I've kind of realized in the past 5 to 6 years now that I'm getting older, and I realize that my time's growing short and that I better start putting the time and the work into things that I really am passionate about. But I've also found that there's things that I thought I was passionate about or that I want to, that I just don't feel like putting the time or energy in. So I just say, oh, push that one aside. That's one that I don't care about. Most dreams are achievable. Again, it's all about the amount of work that you want to put in, the effort that you want to put in, how passionate you are about them. Now, let's just go back to the Peyton Manning commercial where the guy says, I want to be an all-pro quarterback. Certain skill set, certain thing about size, height, doesn't mean that you still can't work really, really, really hard and maybe attain that because you don't have the athletic ability or you don't have the height. Maybe you just study a lot more. You've learned to use your mind instead of muscles. But I still think there are some things that you need a certain skill set for. Other things, though, you can work and practice hard over and over and over to become seriously good at them and then meet your dream. Again, another example, which they should have maybe used for the commercial, is a jockey. You can't be 6'10" and 290 pounds and be able to be a jockey, no matter how hard you try. But guess what? If you couldn't be a jockey, maybe you could train horses. Yeah, because you can't shrink yourself. You could lose the weight, but man, at 6'6", if you got down to 90 pounds, what would that be like? I don't know. So let's just look at, from my point of view, a couple dreams to this point that I have not fulfilled, but I've not given up on. So 2 things. One of the biggest things I can remember is when I was in high school, I wrote some stories in a science fiction class that my teacher at the time said were really, really good. And I don't know if I got a big head or whatever, but then I wanted to be a writer. A lot of times I just wrote for myself. I do remember I wrote writing a post-apocalyptic book, which I believe handwritten in a little tiny Mead notebook. Probably wrote, I think I was close to like 370 pages. No spacing, just every line over and over. But like most things about my life, I get to be a perfectionist, and I didn't have a typewriter, and to handwrite everything all over again seemed fruitless, and I just lost focus or passion about. I tried several other times through my life to start writing again when there were word processors. Just again, I found things that I wanted to do other things with. Rock star. I love music ever since I first heard rock and roll. My cousins were huge on that because I don't remember up until we came back from a break, I think between Spain and Florida. And that's really when, I listened to some music. I went to high school dances or middle school dances in 7th and 8th grade. I remember playing music. I remember my one cousin left a 8-track tape player with some 8 tracks that were never any kind of music. If I wanted to go back again and listen to those, wasn't probably. My sister listened to music all the time, but really my cousin, we made a mixtape, and it had Foghat and Aerosmith and Journey, and I can't remember. Those are the main ones I remember. Nazareth, I think, was on there. But all of a sudden I fell in love with that music. And then when I moved to Florida, I remember with a boombox up on my ear, riding my bike with no hands, just jamming out. And then when I moved back from there full time, we were only in Florida for about 10 months, I think it was. And we moved back. And then my other cousin, Robbie, he had 3 older brothers, the Beatles, George Thorogood, Kiss, were all bands that I just started taking up. And then later, I think it was 10th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, Judas Priest, British Steel, and Scorpions Blackout. 2 things. Of course, I cannot sing a lick. I can't carry a tune in a bucket to save my butt. And I never took the time after blowing my opportunity in 5th grade to start learning to play guitar, ever got back into it, because I wanted an electric guitar, not an acoustic, to try and learn on. But that's on my list. It's on my list within, I don't know, say 2 years. So those were 2 of my dreams that I'm still not done trying to pursue. But let's look at maybe some reasons why we give up on dreams. So first of all, we make excuses to ourselves, back to things that we lie to ourselves about, and we make excuses. So first of all, when we have a dream, we need to decide, is it something, again, I said earlier, passionate about, something we need to put in work and effort. And again, if we're not going to put in the effort and the work, then we're never going to achieve that dream. So again, do we really want it, or are we just saying that we want it? Because again, the effort you put in is going to decide that. Secondly, failure. I've had several things where I almost started businesses. Wrote an elaborate business plan, had 3 years of projections on income and expenses, had a building, had an SBA loan, and I think my fear of failure stopped me. Of course, I made the excuses that, well, they weren't willing to deal with on the rate, the amount to charge me in rent, and I didn't like the interest rate on the SBA loan. So those 2 things, is really just I was afraid of failing. Let's be honest, let's not. Then secondly, being judged. I think this YouTube channel in general, and that's probably why I've not reached out to friends in general or acquaintances or whoever to say, here's my channel, please watch it and see what you think. Maybe it's still because I feel like maybe I might be judged. So I just put it out there to people, hopefully, who see it, that I don't know. And then I don't care if they judge me because I don't know them. But I don't know why I would care, even if they did know me, if they judge me. So those are some things I think stop you. Excuses, effort, fear of failure, being judged. But you got to let those things go, especially if it's something you really want. And in the long run, who cares? If you fail, you fail. You can try again, maybe learn why you failed. Again, if you noticed, I think almost all these topics that I've talked about on this channel all come back to each other, all kind of intertwine, interweave. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they do, kind of all parts. And some of them are themes over and over in each of these videos that are very important. So let's say, I'm just going to throw this out, your dream is to be a world-class gamer, to go into competitions, be #1 ranked in the world, make hundreds of thousands of dollars, be an influencer, talk about games. But maybe you're just not that good at those. So what could you do? Maybe you could promote gaming competitions. Maybe you could become a gaming graphics designer for games. Maybe you could just design the whole game. So even if you don't achieve the main goal that you were shooting for, maybe there's a way that you can find some way to still, part of that dream, fulfill it. And then some things like what fuels your passion when you're 15 might not be something that fuels your passion when you're 25 or 35. Same thing. Time changes things. Time can take things that are dreams that you had or you thought were a dream that you wanted to achieve and change and say, yeah, I'm really not passionate about that. So I'm not willing to put in that hard work or have that drive. Well, back to the jockey thing real quick. Just another example is, yeah, you don't have the size or what it takes to be a jockey or even to ring. So maybe you could be a trainer, or you could be an owner, or you could be an exerciser, or you could broadcast races. You could be a grounds person at the track. You're the one who sets the track up. You could be a starter. There's so many other ways that you could say, still part of my dream, just not the main part of the dream that I wanted to fulfill, especially if you're passionate about it. Especially if you're passionate about it. Back to what I said before, never, ever is it too late to dream. There's so many people who started later in their life to become successful, or what they consider successful, not what others consider successful. Remember, it's always about what you consider to be successful, or what makes you happy, not what society tells you to be happy, what makes you happy on your own. And you can start and you can achieve any of these things, no matter where you are in life. Please don't just give up and become a big blob on the couch. I mean, I guess if you really like that, then be a big blob on the couch. But I just think life is so much more fun and exciting if you have things that you want to chase. And I mentioned it on another episode too about, like, I'm just this coming next weekend. We did do one performance already of a murder mystery where I'm an actor in it, and I had a blast. And we're going to see how this coming weekend goes. On Friday and Saturday we have performances, and I'll let you know on a future one how great it is. But it's something I always thought about going back to do, that I was always too scared to do before, and now I've done it. And I will decide whether it takes up a lot of time, and there's so many other things I want to do, so maybe it'll be something in the winter, because I live in Michigan where there's snow and cold, and I'm not a big fan of it anymore. So maybe I'll try again next winter for a play. Or maybe these same people go on and have some other things for murder mysteries, and I would be happy with a small enough part to try it again. So just again, never too late. Try, do things that make you uncomfortable. So what are some dreams that you've achieved? What are some dreams that maybe you're working on? What are some dreams that maybe you gave up on, or you just lost your passion for? And how do you deal with that? But remember, your smile makes me smile. Be kind, be grateful, be helpful. And until next time, may all your dreams come true.